comes up for a minute. Ready to go? Okay, we're getting started here. First one of the year, 2019. Obviously, we're looking forward to playing some football now. Seems like fall camp went really quickly for us, as it always does. Had a good trip up to Rio Dosa and came back. And the last couple of weeks we've been getting it pretty hard. Been happy with the way the team's been working and what we've been putting out on the field to this point. You know, as a coach, as a head coach, you're really stressing you're too deep in developing the depth on your football team, and we know how important that is. And I've said this earlier, that it's important for us. We're going to be defined on how good our seconds and thirds are, as well as our firsts. And so that's been a big emphasis for us throughout the whole fall camp work, and I feel like we've developed some good depth going in. Obviously we had to replace a lot of guys in the secondary, as we looked at, losing some key starters from last year's football team. Secondary was one of the main emphasis, and then the linebacker position on defense. So we're going into the first game and feel like, we've gone out and recruited some players that have the athletic ability to be able to play for us in the secondary. Now we're looking for them to step up in their first starts, and those two starters will be Josh Caldwell at one corner, Deron Lowe at the other corner. Stepping up Justin Prensa, who we feel like is a really talented secondary player for us, will be starting at a safety spot for us as well. And then of course we've got Justin Rogers and Michael Lewis rounding out the starting secondary for us. Those guys have returning starting experience. And at the linebacker position, we're really happy to have Jason Van Hook back and playing for us. He missed last season, and Jason gives us a lot of speed and athleticism at that one linebacker position. And then Sione Tupu and Joe J. Smith are battling out at that other position, but we feel like we're very athletic at that other linebacker spot as well. And at the outside linebacker spot, the same position, Clay Griffith's got a very good hold on that and is doing a nice job with that, so we're happy with what he's been able to bring to the table as well. We're basing out of a 3-down front, and we feel like Chris Richardson and Denzel are two guys that have a really good firm grasp on those positions. We're looking for both those guys to have stellar seasons for us and do some really good things. And then there's a Prezan who's battling out at that other spot right now, and he's getting pushed by some guys there. Dakari Bickham from Sonny Buckingham. We also got Dedrick Simpson battling at that spot, Nathan Lobelia. We feel like we're really developing some depth on the defensive line, and we know how important that is to have that depth. So that rounds out our defensive personnel for us. Again, trying to establish as much depth as we can at all those positions as well. But that's talking about our top guys at those positions right now. Moving over to offense. Again, a big push for us to, come into the season relatively healthy at the offensive line position. We feel like we're entering this ball game with just that. With that being the case, we got Greg Long starting at the right tackle position. Rudy Guards had a really good camp at the right guard position. Darren Gatewood at the center spot. It's nice to have Darren and Greg back. They were both injured last year. Ruben was injured quite a bit last year. He's been completely healthy and had, like I said, a great camp. Bobby DeHarlow is returning at the left guard spot, and Bobby had a bunch of starts for us last year, but he's really raised his game to a whole nother level at that left guard spot. And then back at the left tackle spot, Zuri Henry and Dart Lee are battling out that left tackle position. But we also have Elijah Klein, who's as good as any of the 5 or 6 guys I just mentioned. It's kind of a flip guy on that offensive line. He can play right guard, he can play right tackle, he can play left guard, he can play left tackle. So those are our top guys. There's some other linemen that have stepped up and had a good camp, but we feel really strongly about those guys going into the first game. It's going to be nice to have them back and completely healthy group up front. Moving to tight end, Jess Trussell, the Purdue transfers, had a really good camp. Be pleased with what he's brought to the table. And then, of course, Trent Thompson, I think, is a very talented tight end / H-back player for us. Those two guys will get the predominant snaps at the tight end position. At the fullback position, we've got James Tupu and Forrest McKee, who are both very talented fullbacks, and as you know, we use the fullback position a lot in our offense, so it's nice to have both those two guys working, and I think they'll both be able to play quite a bit in this ball game. Moving to running back, as we all know, we lost Quadros Wadley going into the first game, but we felt like we really got fortunate to get Josh Fields back and going and back with the team. So Trayvon Hughes will be our starter. Josh Fields will get a lot of reps in there, and those two will take the predominant amount of reps. And then, of course, we'll have Ray Flores and Deion Hankins getting some touches too in that first ball game and see what they can do at the running back spot. Receiver, we've really felt like we've amped up our depth there at the receiver spot and our skill set. The guys that have had the best camp have been Trey Wolf, has had an outstanding camp, really's got some good speed for us. We've been pleased with Alan Boosie, what he's been able to bring to the table at the receiver position. We redshirted Walter Don and Kamika Johnson last year. They both had really, really good camps. And then Jacob County, a freshman that stepped in for us, has had a really, really good camp. Has got some good speed to him. Justin Garrett's had a nice camp as well. And then Devon Cooper, the transfer from Arizona, has also been performing very well. So we have some depth that we've developed in the receiver position. Looking forward to watching those guys play and see what they can do. And then, of course, Brandon Jones will be our starter at quarterback for this first game. So that rounds out the offense. And then special teams right now, Mitchell Crawford returning as a starting punter. Has had a really good camp. Looking forward to watching him perform. And then right now, Gavin Becker will be the starting kicker for us as we go into the first ball game. And Tanner Boston will be our starting snapper. So that rounds out our roster. And looking forward to our ball game here against Houston Baptist. Invited everybody to come out and see us play. Our team's really looking forward to having a good crowd on Saturday and having a fun environment to play. And I'll open it up to questions from there.
Are you planning any kind of rotation at quarterback, or is it Brandon until as long as things
are going well? Brent, I really haven't thought about the rotation at quarterback right now. Brandon's going to be the starter, and it's going to be his to go with initially, and then we'll just kind of see how it goes from there.
At running back, what kind of expectation as far as rotation do you expect?
I like to rotate running backs. I really do. I think it's good to get guys into the flow of the game and get some different guys because each guy can bring a certain different angle to how they carry the ball and how they attack a defense. And so, it'll just be how the game plays itself out right now. And we've talked about that already. I've talked about that with Coach Mitchell and how we plan on using the running backs as of today. That'll change throughout the course of the week, but right now we'll just see how the flow of the game leads to it.
Obviously, it's the second year in a row you posted an FCS opponent to start the season. Last year it didn't go the way you guys wanted it to. How many conversations have you had about just kind of starting off on the right foot this year as opposed to how?
Yeah, we haven't really referred Colin to that much last year. The program's in a different stage, different phase right now. We're just trying to play good quality football no matter who we're playing against right now, and that's our biggest thrust right now is to come out and do the things we need to do and play a disciplined football game. That's going to be important for us to try to play as clean a first game as you can play. We've all got to see a couple college games that were this weekend, and they weren't the cleanest of games. They were kind of raggedy. And so I'll definitely put a lot of emphasis on our team to try to play a really clean football game. Try to really work to do that.
You got some recognition early with your offensive line, especially your center preseason pick for some awards. How do you feel this year about the offensive line? Because obviously, you're going to have some good running backs, and they're going to need to have some holes.
Yeah, I think we're just really looking forward to having all these guys back and going. And, even the guys that got to play last year are a year better now, and so to me that could be a strength of our football team. And when our football teams are the best, we're strong up front, and we need to be strong up front to be a good football team. So they can be the leaders of our whole unit if they play the way I expect them to play.
Just a quick scouting report on Houston Baptist.
Yeah, Houston Baptist, they run the Texas Tech style offense. They have a young coordinator that came out of that, offense, and they try to go as fast as they can. They try to throw the ball. That's their big thing. They do have a talented running back. They got a returning starter at quarterback that's a very good player. I feel like they're solid up front. I like what they have up front with their offensive linemen. Their receivers got some good height to them and run well, so there's some definite skill set to what they have on offense. Defensively, they were a young team last year. They do a variety of different looks. They base out the odd defense, but they try to mix up their looks quite a bit. They got quite a few quarterback sacks last year. They have 5 of their leading tacklers are coming back from their defense, and led by number 43, their linebacker. He's an outstanding player, but they also have some defensive ends that are good players as well. That I think got some athleticism to them. 3 of their secondary players are returning as well, and I think those guys got some good height and some good range to them. So they're an athletic football team, being right there based out of the city of Houston. There's some athleticism to that football team. They're able to recruit some athletic players. So we'll be going up against some good size and speed on Saturday.
When you say Texas Tech, do you mean current Texas Tech or the Mike Leach Texas Tech that we all?
The Mike Leach Texas Tech.
So this isn't exactly maybe a scouting report for what you would see.
No, it's more the Texas Tech style of offense, Mike Leach, Al Mummy style of offense. Yeah.
How important is that first drive for you guys? First series on offense, especially last season, got off to some slow starts in the first quarter. What have you told your team as far as starting fast?
I think starting fast is important. I do. I think we want to come out of the gate with a lot of emotion, a lot of enthusiasm, but we want to be consistent too. You got to be careful about putting all your eggs in one basket there. I do want us to start fast, but we got to be a team that just learns how to handle the ups, handles prosperity and adversity. I've always said that. My very first, interview that I had here was talking about handling prosperity and adversity. And it was funny because Jordan Palmer came back and talked to our team, and that's one of the things that he talked to them about is, some guys, how do you handle prosperity, how do you handle adversity? So however we start a game, obviously we start fast, but we got to be able to handle it either way.
And touching back on Jordan, what did you see from your quarterback room in response to having Palmer come back and talk?
Oh, it was great. Our whole football team really got a lot out of Jordan's visit, and he left a lasting impression with our football team, but he also spent some time with our quarterbacks, and I felt like our quarterbacks gained some knowledge from him because he's obviously got a good skill set in teaching quarterbacks as well.
It seems like it's been an emotional roller coaster through the offseason. Kai situation, and of course, Luke Laufenberg passing away. You talked about keeping that even keel. Does that kind of add some roadblocks?
Yeah, it's been an interesting summer, with the Kai incident and more important, the El Paso incident that we had, and then the passing of Luke, 2 of those tragic events that we had. Luke's funeral is going to be this Wednesday. I'm going to go back, and Babe asked me to speak at the funeral, so I'll be saying some words at the funeral, and then we're going to do something on Saturday between the quarters to honor Luke and Babe. His dad's going to come back for the game, and his brother Joe Will is going to come back for the game as well. So that's going to be a nice thing for us. But it's definitely, those 2 things, the latter 2 that I mentioned, have been the ones that have been, drawing on our team, but they also hope they motivate our team as well.
What was the best all camp positional battle for you that you saw unfold over the last few weeks?
Yeah, there's been some really good battles throughout camp, which is what I want to see. The one that's unfolding, as we speak right now, is Y.K. Ross, the transfer from USC, is in. He's trying to get himself in a position to get himself on the field, and so he's really pressing some of our defensive backs for playing time. I really liked what he brought to the table. There's been an ongoing one at wide receiver spot, with the addition of Jacob Cowan and Devon Cooper coming into the fold. Those 2 have raised the bar and play at the wide receiver position. But I really felt like, and also just Kavika Johnson and Walter Don redshirting last year, now coming back, they've added a lot of competition to that position as well. So it's been very good. But I thought Alan Boosie just came into camp and knew there was going to be competition, and he raised his game. And Trey Wolf has kind of set himself apart, from last spring, and then again on to this summer. He's kind of set himself apart as performing at an elite level. So that wide receiver position has been very competitive. And then as of late, having Trent Thompson back and healthy, Jess Trussell's really helped to push Trent and elevate Trent's game there at that. And then the other competition that's really been ongoing is the battle for backup quarterback spot behind Brandon and Kai. And in that battle between Gavin Hardison and Mark Torres, it's really come down to those two right now. It could change as the year goes along. That's been an interesting battle as well.
How would you like, obviously you set some, I guess, steps for Kai to kind of get back in good graces when you lifted the suspension. How have you kind of liked how he's progressed?
He's been good, yeah. Kai's been good. He's been a good teammate. You know, we talked about him being a good teammate. We talked about him conforming and doing things the way we ask him to do them, and Kai's done a nice job with all of that. You know, he's focused on trying to have a really good senior year and help us have a good season.
What's your returners look like?
Right now, the returner position, Walt Don is and Justin Garrett are kind of battling out for the punt return position right now. And then the kickoff return position is still up for grabs. We're working kickoff return tomorrow, so that can still get settled a little bit right now. Keely Ross, the transfer from USC, Jacob Cowing, Walter Don are all in a battle for that spot right now. And the off returner right now is Josh Fields, number 1, Ray Flores, number 2 at that position. But they're still, you know, we're not quite ready to decide on who the starting KLR is going to be. We still have 2 more days to kind of get that worked out.
As far as your kicking game, punting and all the special teams, you satisfied with what you got?
I'm real satisfied with the competition that we've developed in our kicking room. You know, we brought in a lot of kickers and punters into the fold. Last year at this time, I think we had 3 on the whole roster. We've added a lot of depth at that position, which is added to the competition right now. Gavin Beckley's grabbed a hold of the leading field goal. He was performing at the 90% throughout camp, throughout Rio Doce, and then coming back here as well. His out time was very functional out time for us, so we felt like he grabbed a firm hold on the kicking position. And then Mitchell Crawford, you know, is improving from last year as a starting punter from last season, and we've liked what he's done so far.
With everything you guys have seen as a city, as a team this offseason, you know, touching on Saturday, you guys plan to honor Luke, El Paso Strong, obviously, in the house as well. How important is it to see a filled stadium, to really see the community?
I think it's important to see a good crowd at the game. Our guys would definitely appreciate that and play hard. Seeing fans in the stadium for us, it's just important, and we just continue to help build the momentum as we continue to play quality football throughout the year.
You brought up Cowan quite a bit. You see a guy that you feel like makes a pretty big impact as a freshman. Is there maybe a guy that you coached that you compare him to in the past?
Well, you know, Jacob is really a special player right now. You know, you hate to give him too many accolades, but he's had a really, really good camp, and he's shown us some things as a young player that's very reminiscent of some other guys that we've coached at Kansas State. But it's too early to give him too strong accolades until he starts doing it. But he's definitely, you know, alongside of some of the guys that we had there that ended up playing for a long time. You know, he was reminding us of some of those guys right now, and we're hoping he can take that to Saturday, you know, evening when we put the lights on.
How are you going to measure what success this year look like?
What is success this year? You know, putting good quality football out there, Brad. I mean, that's what a coach his main goal is, to make sure you guys are playing hard-nosed, disciplined football, and we're playing sound football, and kids are playing with a lot of enthusiasm and battling each and every game. Again, you know, handling prosperity and adversity the same way, handling it with class, handling it with great work ethic, and how we attack each and every situation. That's what I'm going to judge this football team by.
Obviously, it's a little bit like whack-a-mole, trying to get everything in order. How in your mind, from your plan when you first got here, are you where you want to be going into this season?
Yeah, you know, I think I've said that this summer is that we've really, you know, when I came here, the personnel was heavily skewed to juniors and seniors, and obviously last season, you know, a lot of those juniors and seniors were onset with injuries. We've really flipped the personnel in the roster, and I think we've developed a lot more talent in our roster already in a year and a half. Through the first recruiting cycle, I thought was a good recruiting cycle. I talked about this early in the summer. I think we said out of the 27 guys that we had signed that we felt like 21 of them were pluses, guys that were good, you know, and that's a good number to go to. And since that time, you know, 4 of them left the program, so there was only 23 left. and 2 of them are still in question mark, and during that time, another one stepped up and had a really good camp. So I felt like the first recruiting class was a good recruiting class, and I feel like our second one's been dramatically better than the first one. So I feel like, we've done a good job of starting to build the roster talent that we need to build.
So if we look back to last year and the first half of the Rice game, that's probably how you'd like to have the machine run,
Sure.
Yeah.
And I
So-
thought that, I looked back and, just talking about last year, we played, I was sitting at the conference table at the head coaches meeting, and I looked at all the people on our side of the division, and I said, you know what, we could have won that game, 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 and that was a deleted, beat-up team. The only game was the last one against Southern Miss when we had hardly, anybody left, and then I looked at the way we played against Rice, and then I went back the last 5 years of how we played, last 5 times we went to Rice, and how we've played against Rice the last 5 times or 4 times UTEP's gone to Rice to play, and then we were able to beat them, the way we did. So as I look at that in the first year, considering all the injuries we had and everything, there was a lot of positives from last season.
Coach, how long of a leash will you give Brandon Jones in starting quarterback for you?
I'm going to give him. Brandon's not going to feel like if he goes out and has 2 or 3 bad series that we're going to pull him. He understands that. He's worked too hard. I'm going to judge somebody on the body of their work right now. And again, I had that conversation about another position on the field. If you go out and have a bad performance for a couple snaps or a bad performance for a half a game, that's not merit to me for the whole body of work that you put in throughout the course of the offseason. So he's going to be judged more on his leadership and his body of work.
I know it's very game dependent, but what's your ideal mix of passing running?
I don't know if we ever go into a game with a definite, goal on that. It's going to be what teams are doing to you. It's been funny, our offense, when it's humming and it's rolling in the right direction, can be so difficult to defend, and so people defend us differently every game than anybody. So just for instance at Kansas State, we never got the same defense that team had played against somebody else. So every game was like the first quarter, we had to sit back and make an adjustment and figure out, okay, how are they going to defend us today, because our offense is a little bit different than what most people do and a little bit more diverse. And so it just depends on what people are doing to us. Are they going to try to force us to throw the ball, or are they going to try to give us the ability to run the football? So that's how we would answer that question. So it's really indicative on the style of defense that we're going to see in the game.
Anything else? All right.